Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates.
Hi guys! Welcome to the video series on grammar basics. A lot of you have requested for this video. Makes sense, right? A lot of these grammar rules come in important question types like sentence correction, sentence completion, fill in the blanks, to an extent where you can apply these rules to even para-jumbles and sentence joining. Now in this video series, we are going to focus only and only on the rules that are very important with respect to these examinations. Obviously, हम कभी भी सिर्फ फॉर्मूला लर्न करके कोई क्वेश्चन तो प्रैक्टिस नहीं कर पाते हैं ना. क्वेश्चन क्रैक नहीं होता है मैथमेटिक्स में सिर्फ फॉर्मूले से. The same approach we are going to follow here. We are going to learn the rule and apply it immediately into a question type which resembles something that has come in actual examinations. तो इस तरह से आपको रूल का रटाफिकेशन नहीं करना पड़ेगा and you will remember the concept thoroughly and will be able to use it when it comes in the examinations. So let's get started with the basics. First things first, हमने बचपन से noun और verb का definitions रटा है, right? Noun क्या होता है? It's the name of a person, place, animal or thing. And verb क्या होता है? It is a word that denotes something about an action. एक छोटा सा example लेके इसको perspective में रखते हैं. The girl wrote a letter to her family. In this sentence, girl, letter and family ये तीनों ही noun हैं and wrote, which is the past form of write, is the verb. Fairly simple, right? अब आगे बढ़ते हैं और actually rules की तरफ progress करते हैं. Moving to the types of noun, the first two classifications of noun are proper noun and common noun. Proper noun is the name of a particular place, person or thing, and common nouns are the words that refer to common or in general places, people or things. For example, India is a land of many cultures. यहाँ पर India is proper noun, land and cultures are common noun. Because India is specific, एक specific country है. Land और cultures कहीं के भी हो सकते हैं. Let us move on to the next classification, which is for common nouns. Common nouns can be divided into two different types, the collective nouns and the abstract nouns. Collective nouns, as the name suggests, talk about things or people or substances in general which are collectively taken or taken as a group. For example, a bunch of keys, a pack of cards, a bunch of flowers, a herd of animals, and so on. On the other hand, abstract nouns talk about things in general feelings, something that cannot really be quantified, like anger, pain, happiness, and such other abstract things. This takes us to the first and one of the most important rules for noun, which talks about collective nouns. The rule here says that collective nouns, listen carefully, you might want to note this down as well. This rule is tested a lot in examinations. Collective nouns can be treated either as singular or as plural depending on the context. थोड़ा समझने में दिक्कत हुई होगी. इसका मतलब ये है कि collective nouns singular भी हो सकते हैं और plural भी. ये डिपेंड करता है कि सेंटेंस क्या कह रहा है. To understand this better, एक एग्जाम्पल देखते हैं. The first sentence here says, the board of directors is on the way to the meeting room. The second sentence here says, the board of directors are having a debate regarding the finances. In the first sentence, आप देख सकते हैं कि board of directors को हमने singular treat किया है. कैसे पता चला? We have used is with it. Now obviously we are referring to the board of directors as a singular entity कि ये board of directors का जो group है ये सब के सब meeting room में जा रहे हैं. तो इसलिए यहाँ पे we can refer to that group as singular. लेकिन in the second sentence we have treated the same as plural. कैसे पता चला? We have used are with the board of directors. Now here is something very fine that you might want to note. Here the context is of having a debate. अब कोई भी आपस में बात कर रहा हो या डिबेट कर रहा हो तो it will be something that will be amongst people, in which sense you cannot use a singular word. Hence, we are referring to the board of directors के members को in the second sentence and the sentence is treated in the plural context. Let us move on and practice an actual question type on the same rule. As you can see in this question, you are given a sentence that is divided into 5 parts. Now one of the part may have an error in it. Now you are required to identify that part, but the options that are given to us, usme se we have to pick the option that denotes the parts that are absolutely correct. तो चलिए statement पढ़ते हैं. A group of athletes was called upon to exhibit leadership skills. It was to motivate the women's team to embrace a new game plan and help its peers overcome adversity. Now सुनने में ये sentence बिल्कुल ठीक लगता है. For once you will not be able to find an error. But once you look carefully and understand the context and the correlation between different parts, we'll come to know that the error is in part E. The plural form of the possessive pronoun there should be used in place of the singular pronoun its in the last part. The reference here is to the member of the groups of athletes. अब ये कैसे पता चला हमको? Because the last part of the sentence mentions peers. अब peers का मतलब होता है a person of the same age, status or ability as another specified person. Now obviously, team members के peers होंगे ना? A team collectively will not have peers. Hence, the correct answer is option B. Now that we look at the question, it seems fairly easy. But remember, question types सिर्फ difficult दिखते हैं exam में. The rules that are actually used to crack them are fairly simple. All you need to do is remember the rule and make sure you practice enough question types related to that rule. Moving on to a second rule regarding nouns, the next classification is countable or uncountable nouns. As the name suggests, countable nouns are the ones जिनको हम count कर सकते हैं या गिन सकते हैं, and uncountable nouns are the ones that cannot be counted. For example, countable nouns would be boy, pen, glass, whereas uncountable nouns are salt, water, honesty. Basic test. काउंटेबल नाउन्स का प्लूरल फॉर्म या सिंगुलर फॉर्म दोनों हो सकता है, पर अनकाउंटेबल नाउन्स को हम प्लूरल फॉर्म में नहीं लिख सकते हैं, which means we can say that there were boys or pens or glasses of water, but we cannot say that there were waters or salts or honesties. The uncountable nouns will always stay in their singular form. Moving on to our last classifications of noun is the classification of nouns by number. Here is a small table suggesting the classification. So we know about singular and plural nouns, that how the singular noun, for example, cow would be converted to cows, hero would be converted to heroes. What is important to note here are the other 4 classifications. There are certain nouns in which the singular and plural are alike. For example, sheep, deer, aircraft, species, which means that these words are written as it is. Whether you're talking about 1 sheep or 10 sheep, it will always be sheep. Sheeps बिल्कुल ही गलत होता है. Then there are nouns which are always plural. Tongs, scissors, spectacles, assets. Now for some things it is very evident. Things that have 2 arms or 2 legs, जैसे आपके jeans और pants के 2 legs होते हैं, tongs और scissors के 2 arms होते हैं, तो obviously they will be in plural form ना. The second last classification is about nouns which are originally singular but they are used as plural, like arms, riches, wages. So whether you are giving the money or tankha to 1 person or to 10 people, you will always call it as wages. The last classification is about nouns, very simple, which look plural but are actually singular. जैसे कि subjects, mathematics, physics, names of certain diseases like measles, mumps or news. In sub words के end में we find an S, but that does not mean that they are plural. They are actually singular. This classification takes us to our last rule related to nouns, which talks about the fact that certain types of nouns will not have any plural forms. For instance, abstract nouns, they never have a plural form. You will never say that somebody is having pains, honesties. So abstract nouns का कोई भी plural form नहीं होता है. Additionally, names of substances do not have a plural form. You always say copper, tin. We never say coppers or tins. Let us solve an actual question type to put these rules into perspective. Now this question type may look like the previous one, but it is actually very different. This suggests कि जब भी आप ये क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर रहे हो प्रैक्टिस के लिए और वेदर इन एग्जामिनेशंस, it is very important that we read the question directions very carefully, because obviously it is important to know what the question is asking us of before we start solving. Let us have a look at the question. In this question, we are given a sentence that is divided into 4 parts. Now of these 4 parts, 2 of the parts may contain an error. We have to pick the option that suggests कि किन 2 parts में error है. In case the complete sentence is free of error और पूरा का पूरा सही है, we will pick option E. चलिए अब sentence पढ़ते हैं. The question says, they say that he has committed some murders using a copper weapon, but there is no truth in rumors. This is a fairly simple one. Now, first part seems correct, whereas in part B, we will not say some murders. The correct usage would be a few murders. Why is it so? Because murders as a noun is countable. We can count कि भाई कितने murder हुए हैं. That is why we will use few and not some. Part C also seems correct, whereas in part D, the correct usage will be there is no truth in rumors, because truth is an abstract noun, and we have just learned कि abstract nouns never run in plural form. This means option C, which is part B and D, is our correct answer. This was an easy one to spot, but remember, you have to know these rules at the back of your hand. But ratification करने की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है, because if you try to remember these rules by heart and not know where and when to apply them, it's going to get a little difficult to solve them in the examinations. Let us move on and learn one more tiny rule that was concerned with this question. So in this question we saw that in part B, I told you कि भाई we have to use few instead of some. Now there are certain words like few, many and number. These words are used for nouns that are countable. So you can say few glasses of water, many glasses of water, or a number of students, because all of these can be counted. Whereas there are certain words that are used for uncountable nouns. Words like much, more, little, some, amount. Now all of these words are used for uncountable nouns. Like please give me some water. Water cannot be counted, right? That's why we used some. Similarly, little rice. All of these words are used for uncountable nouns. Now before we move on to our classification of verbs, here is a tiny rule about subject and object. Now we need to know कि subject क्या होता है और object क्या होता है. This is important for our understanding of multiple rules in this video and the upcoming video. Let us learn this via an example. So here the example says that Sham is flying a kite. In this example, Sham is the doer or the subject, the thing or the person who is doing an action. Flying here becomes the action or the verb. And lastly, kite is the object. Object is something on which the action will happen or is happening. Fairly simple, right? Let us move on to our first classification of verbs, which is regarding transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. In plain simple language, transitive verbs वो होते हैं in which we have an object present, whereas intransitive verbs are the ones जिसमें object missing होता है. Let us take an example to put this into perspective. The boy plays guitar. Here, the boy is the subject, plays is the verb, and guitar is the object. In another example, the girl laughs. Here, the girl is the subject and laughs is the verb. तो हम देख रहे हैं कि कैसे transitive verb के cases में the action passes from the subject to the object. But in intransitive verbs, that is not possible. Action cannot pass from subject to object because the object is missing. This brings us to our fourth rule. regarding transitive and intransitive verbs. So we have all learned about active and passive voice in our previous videos. Let me quickly recap that for you. Active voice is one where the subject is performing an action on the object, whereas passive voice is the one where the action is being performed on the subject. So the position of the subject and the object changes. So in this rule, it talks about how transitive verbs can have both active as well as passive form, whereas intransitive verbs are only and only in the active form. उनका कोई passive form नहीं होता. एक example देखते हैं. He broke the window. The passive voice to this sentence would be, the window was broken by him. In another example for intransitive verbs, the wind blows, there will be no passive voice. It will only and only exist in the active form. Remember, it is okay to forget all these names. अगर आप classifications के नाम भूल जाते हैं, that's absolutely okay. But as long as you remember the rules and you know how to apply these rules. नाम याद रहे ना रहे, it's not going to help us anyway in the examination. But if you remember the rule and practice enough questions, this will definitely help you in the exams. Moving forward with our last classification for verbs, which is auxiliary or helping verbs. Auxiliary or helping verbs express time frames in the form of sentences. For instance, with the usage of words like is, was, will, etc. They also denote modality. That is, they modify the verbs. Words like may, can, should. We know these words are used with verbs ताकि हम थोड़ा सा verb को modify कर पाएं या उसमें एक extra meaning add कर पाएं. Auxiliary verbs also add emphasis to a sentence or help in changing the voice of the statement. So here is a tiny rule about modal verbs. Modal verbs always take the base form of the verb after them. For example, I wish I could play PUBG all night. As we can see, here after the modal verb could, we have used the base form play. In another example, the waiter shall take our order in a while. Right after shall, we have used the base form take. Fairly simple, right? Moving on to our last and the most important rule for this lesson, which is of subject-verb agreement. Now this is the rule which is tested in multiple question types, and I cannot even count how many times this rule has been tested in error spotting or correct incorrect questions. Let us move on and understand कि इस rule के कितने types हैं और कितने implications हैं. You might want to sit down with a pen and note down the various pointers this rule talks about. On a very basic and simple level, ये rule कहता है that your subject should agree with the verb in person and in number. How? We will look at the following examples and understand this better. Now, whenever we have two or more singular nouns or pronouns, it requires a plural verb. ये पहला rule है आपके subject verb agreement का. For example, gold and platinum are precious metals. अब यहाँ पे we are referring to two things, gold और platinum. Hence, we will use are. तो आप देख रहे हो कैसे आपका subject, which is gold and platinum, क्योंकि वो plural है, it will also take a plural verb, which is are. The second point here says that if the nouns suggest one idea or refer to the same person or thing, the verb is singular. For example, अगर मैं कहूँ the principal and HOD has come, थोड़ा tricky लग रहा है, पर यहाँ पे आप देखो that the HOD is not preceded by any article, which states कि the principal and HOD are the same person. Hence, we will use has. If the sentence had said, the principal and the HOD have come, अब यहाँ पे the principal and the HOD are two different people. Hence, we will use a plural verb, that is, have come. The third rule here says that the words that are joined by a single subject using words like with, as well as, along with, together with, इनके बाद हमेशा singular verb आता है. These will be words जो आपको थोड़ा याद रखने पड़ेंगे. aerobics as well as Zumba is taught here because and only because we have used as well as. We will treat the complete first half of the statement as singular. But if there are words like either, neither, each, everyone, many a, must be followed by a singular verb. For example, everyone is eating dinner. Many a time has he fallen from the stairs. So as we can see, in both these examples, the verb used was in its singular form. Everyone was followed by is eating and many a time was followed by has. This brings us to a second last rule which states plural nouns which are used in a proper name for some single object must be followed by a singular verb. मतलब जो nouns हमें plural form में दिखते हैं लेकिन अगर वो proper noun है तो उनके बाद हम single object के साथ एक singular verb ही use करेंगे. Let me quickly put this in a very simple manner. Plural noun which is a proper noun. So plural proper noun plus a single object plus singular verb. Fairly simple equation. एक example देखते हैं. The United States has a huge army. The last rule here says when plural noun denotes a specific quantity which is considered as a whole, the verb is always singular. मतलब whenever we are talking about a quantity as a whole, like 5 kilometers, 5 feet, whenever जब भी कोई quantity की बात हो रही हो, taken as a whole, as a group or together, the verb is always singular. For example, 5 kilometers is a long walk. A lot of rules, right? आपको लग रहा होगा कि इतने rules कैसे याद करेंगे? But be a little patient. Make sure that you put these rules into examples. जैसे कि हमने अभी किया. We learnt the rule and we used an example for it. Do the same thing. Practice it as many times as you can and I can assure you that you will never forget these rules. Let us do an actual question type on these rules and put all of this into perspective. The question here gives us 4 statements. Some of them are grammatically or meaningfully correct, whereas some of them are grammatically or meaningfully incorrect. Now we have to pick the sentences that are correct. मतलब सही वाले हमको choose करने हैं and we have to pick the option accordingly. The first sentence here says, neither mango nor pineapple are my favorite fruit. Pretty easy one. ये वाला तो गलत है. Because we just saw that whenever we use words like neither, either, it is always followed by a singular verb. Hence, it should be neither mango nor pineapple is my favorite fruit. क्योंकि हम दोनों में से एक की बात कर रहे हैं ना, अगर आपको रूल याद भी ना रहे, make sure कि आप उस चीज को समझ लो. Second sentence here says, the teacher asked everyone to take out their physics notebook. सुनने में this sounds right, but actually it's wrong because we just saw in rules for subject-verb agreement that everyone should be followed by a singular verb. Hence, it should be the teacher asked everyone to take out his/her physics notebook. Now that we know 1 and 2 are incorrect, we can clearly eliminate option A, B and C. Now we fairly know that after eliminating options A, B, C and E, we have the correct answer 3 and 4, which is option D. But we'll still check for it. So statement 3 says 7 meters is pretty long for a sari. Again, going back to our rules of subject-verb agreement, last wala rule that we just saw, that whenever a quantity in plural is treated as a group, it will always be followed by a singular verb. Last sentence, the teacher and parent is very upset with the child's behavior. This was our first rule for subject-verb agreement because here we are talking about one person only. That same person is the teacher as well as the parent. This makes statement 3 and 4 correct and option D our correct choice. Some of the times, अगर आपको rule याद भी नहीं है, try going by context. Most of these rules are contextual. एक छोटा सा example देती हूँ. We just saw the first sentence here. Neither A nor B is my favorite fruit. Now neither का मतलब क्या होता है? ना ही ये, ना ही वो, which means दोनों में से कोई भी नहीं. Now we are only referring to one thing here, right? Neither this nor that. तो obviously singular होगा. Similarly, for the fourth statement, we are talking about one single person. So once you are not able to remember the rules, it's okay. Try remembering the concept or try grasping the context of the statement, and you should do fine with it. We hope that this session was useful. For more such videos, stay tuned, happy learning, and keep practicing.